Imagine if your monthly credit card bill suddenly ballooned up because you bought more stuff, but because the interest rate shot up. Well, that's exactly what's happening with the US government. For the first time ever, we're paying over $1 trillion just in interest on our national debt, which has now surpassed $35 trillion. That's a staggering amount of money that could be used for schools, roads, or healthcare, but instead it's going toward paying off the cost of borrowing. Today, we're going to explore why this is happening, what it means for you, and how it could affect the future of our economy and your wallet. You might be wondering, why is this happening? The answer lies in the Federal Reserve's actions over the past few years. In an effort to control inflation, the Fed has kept interest rates high. When rates are elevated, borrowing becomes more expensive, and this applies to everyone, including the government. As a result, the interest on the national debt is accumulating faster than ever before. Imagine it like carrying a balance on your credit card where paying only the interest is costing you a fortune, but the actual balance remains untouched. This scenario leads us to a crucial point to consider every day. The US is paying about $3 billion in interest alone. That's $3 billion every single day, including weekends. Just a couple of years ago, that number was closer to $2 billion, but with rising interest rates, we've seen this significant jump in daily payments. It's not just a big number for the year. This is something that's growing rapidly. So, who's footing the bill? You guessed it, all of us, through taxes and government spending priorities. When the government spends so much money just on interest, that's money that isn't being used for other critical areas, like infrastructure, education, or healthcare. It also means the government might need to borrow even more to cover its other expenses, which just makes the debt grow larger and larger. Larger debt means even more interest payments in the future, creating a cycle that feeds into itself. Here's another important aspect to consider. While the Federal Reserve may lower interest rates in the future, that still won't solve the whole problem. Lower rates could reduce daily interest payments somewhat. Some experts say that a 1% rate cut could bring down daily interest payments from $3 billion to $2.5 billion. But here's the catch: the national debt continues to increase, and future administrations are expected to keep adding to it. So even with lower rates, the total amount of debt means those interest payments will remain a significant part of the budget. The debate around future administrations and their fiscal policies is also worth noting. Analysts are projecting more spending and larger deficits regardless of who is in power. This affects us long-term, and while it might seem like just numbers on a page, it has real consequences for what the government can and can't do with its budget. So, where does that leave us? Managing this kind of debt is a complex balancing act. It involves keeping the economy stable, managing inflation, and ensuring essential services are funded. While this might seem like an issue happening far away in Washington, it has a direct impact on all of us. The more the government has to spend on interest, the less it can invest in things that improve our everyday lives. Moreover, we need to consider the impact on future generations. The debt we're accumulating now is something our children, grandchildren, and beyond will have to deal with. It's like passing on a financial burden that becomes harder to manage the longer it goes unchecked. This situation underscores the importance of addressing these issues proactively rather than letting them accumulate further. The current state of interest payments on the national debt has entered uncharted territory, and it's something that will affect us all, one way or another. Staying informed and understanding these issues is a crucial first step. If you're interested in how this could impact you personally through taxes, government services, or the economy as a whole, it's worth keeping an eye on these developments as we continue to navigate this complex financial landscape. It's essential to delve deeper into the potential long-term consequences of our current fiscal trajectory. The reality is that high interest payments on national debt don't just affect the government's ability to fund projects, they also have broader implications for the economy and ultimately for you as an individual. One of the significant concerns with escalating debt and rising interest payments is the potential for reduced economic growth. When a substantial portion of government revenue is allocated to servicing debt, less is available for investment in infrastructure, education, and other critical areas that can drive economic growth. This could mean slower progress on projects that boost job creation, enhance quality of life, and strengthen economic stability. Furthermore, the impact on public services cannot be overstated. With a growing portion of the federal budget going toward interest payments, essential services such as healthcare, Social Security, and education might face funding cuts. For many people, these services are not just conveniences, they are lifelines. Reduced funding for public services can lead to longer wait times, lower quality of care, and diminished support for those who need it most. This creates a ripple effect that affects every aspect of society. Another consequence is the potential increase in taxes. To address the ballooning debt and high interest payments, the government might need to find additional sources of revenue. This could translate into higher taxes for individuals and businesses. While the idea of higher taxes is never popular, it's essential to understand that these measures could be necessary to stabilize the national debt and prevent further economic strain. Interest rates themselves also play a critical role in shaping economic conditions. If the Federal Reserve decides to lower interest rates to alleviate some of the pressure on debt payments, it could have mixed effects. Lower rates might reduce the cost of borrowing for the government and individuals, potentially stimulating economic activity. However, if rates are kept too low for too long, it can lead to inflationary pressures and undermine the value of savings. Balancing interest rates to support economic growth while managing inflation and debt levels is a delicate task. Moreover, the issue of national debt and interest payments can influence investor confidence. If investors believe that the government might struggle to manage its debt, or if they foresee higher inflation, they might demand higher returns on government bonds. This can drive up borrowing costs for the government, creating a vicious cycle of rising debt and interest payments. Maintaining investor confidence is crucial for keeping borrowing costs manageable and ensuring that the government can continue to finance its operations effectively. For individuals, the broader economic environment influenced by high national debt and interest payments can affect personal finances in several ways. Economic uncertainty can lead to job instability, fluctuating interest rates on loans and mortgages, and increased costs of living. Additionally, if the government decides to cut spending or increase taxes, it can directly impact household budgets and financial planning. To navigate these challenges, staying informed about economic policies and their potential impacts on personal finances is essential. Being proactive in managing your own financial situation, such as budgeting, saving, and planning for potential changes in taxes or interest rates, can help mitigate some of the adverse effects of broader economic shifts. In the face of these challenges, it's also important to advocate for responsible fiscal policies. Engaging in discussions about how to manage national debt and interest payments responsibly can contribute to more effective solutions. Public awareness and engagement can drive political will and influence policymakers to prioritize sustainable fiscal practices that balance the need for economic growth with the imperative of managing debt. In conclusion, the escalating interest payments on the national debt represent a significant challenge with far-reaching implications. The direct effects on government spending, public services, and individual finances are substantial, and the broader economic impact cannot be underestimated. Understanding these dynamics and staying informed about potential policy changes is crucial for navigating the complexities of the current financial landscape. Continuing our exploration of the ramifications of skyrocketing interest payments on national debt, it's crucial to recognize that this situation doesn't just affect the current economic climate but also sets the stage for future financial conditions. As we grapple with the immediate impacts, we must also consider the long-term consequences and the broader picture of how this debt affects various aspects of society. One key area to consider is the impact on future generations. The burden of national debt and the accompanying interest payments are not just immediate concerns, they extend far into the future. The decisions made today about borrowing and spending will influence the financial landscape that future generations will inherit. High levels of debt can lead to constrained government budgets for decades, affecting everything from education to healthcare to infrastructure development. This is a heavy load for future taxpayers and could limit their economic opportunities. Moreover, the accumulation of debt and the associated interest payments can influence national priorities. As the government allocates more resources to servicing debt, there is less flexibility in the budget to address emerging needs or invest in innovative projects. This could stifle advancements in technology, healthcare, and other critical sectors that drive progress and improve quality of life. The opportunity cost of high debt is the missed chance to invest in areas that could yield significant benefits for society. Thank you for joining me in exploring this critical issue. Your engagement and understanding are vital as we work through these challenges together. Feel free to share your thoughts, questions, or experiences in the comments. Let's continue the conversation and stay informed about how these important issues will shape our future.